Hakeem Jeffries picked the wrong fight. Check it out.
Then you got Karoline Leavitt, who's sick. She's out of control. And I'm not sure whether she's just demented, ignorant, a stone cold liar, or all of the above.
Washington has been swept up in its usual chaos since the shutdown began, with insults, accusations, and blame shifting, echoing through every corner of the Capitol. Yet, amid the noise, Karoline Leavitt stands apart. She isn't someone who blends in with the crowd, and when she finally spoke, her words didn't simply fill the air. They struck with the power and clarity of a political lightning bolt.
Jeffries should stop calling me names. He should stop trying to fight my boss, President Trump, and he should go back to doing what he was elected to do, the business of the American people in Congress, and encourage Senate Democrats to open the government.
We're taking a close look at everything today with that exact goal in mind. No spin, no party talking points, just plain common sense. If you're someone who values independent thinking and speaking your mind, hit that subscribe button. All right, let's begin.
Illegal aliens and violent criminals. That is who the Democrat Party is catering to, not the Trump administration and not the White House and not the Republican Party, who is standing up for law-abiding Americans, not just across the country, but around the world.
Now, these comments prompted this unhinged meltdown from the House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries. Take a look.
You got Karoline Leavitt, who's sick. She's out of control. And I'm not sure whether she's just demented, ignorant, a stone cold liar, or all of the above. But the notion that an official White House spokesperson would say that the Democratic Party consists of terrorists, violent criminals, and undocumented immigrants, this makes no sense. That this is what the American people are getting from the Trump administration in the middle of a shutdown.
So here's a fresh and fiery perspective. Broad generalizations like these should never be tolerated. We called out Hillary when she dismissed half the country as a basket of deplorables, and we did the same when Biden labeled Trump supporters as trash. This isn't an isolated issue. The tension is high and the stakes are even higher, but branding 44.1 million registered Democrats as criminals, terrorists, or undocumented immigrants does nothing but harm. Such exaggeration could easily have backfired on the GOP, especially if this were an election year. And when the administration's main spokesperson makes a remark like that, it's more than just a slip-up, it's outright reckless. To be fair, Hakeem's reaction didn't help either. Targeting the press secretary and dragging her into the shutdown chaos isn't sensible, even when political tensions run hot. Later, Karoline explained the situation to Hannity, and here's what she had to say.
I have a funny feeling you might want to respond to all of this.
I sure would, Sean, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to do so. Look, Hakeem Jeffries is simply lashing out because he knows that I am telling the truth about the modern day Democrat Party. When it comes to illegal aliens, the American people know the truth about that. The Democrats allowed them to flood our country. Why? Because they view that constituency as their future voters. And when it comes to violent criminals, look at what the Democrats support in terms of crime. Soft on crime policies like cashless bail, like letting violent criminals out back into the streets so they can recommit violent offenses against law-abiding American citizens.
That wasn't too hard to grasp, was it? Karoline did exactly what she should have, steering the conversation away from personal attacks and back to real issues. To be fair, Jeff did back the campus protests, but he was clear that they must not cross into anti-Semitic or racist threats that endanger anyone's safety. Ironically, some of the very activists he stood by turned around and criticized him for taking that stance. Still, Karoline's main argument holds weight. The Biden administration has let the border situation spiral, and the Democratic Party's so-called criminal justice reforms may have done more harm than good. And Karoline wasn't done yet. She had one more message for Jeffries about what he could be focusing on instead of trading insults.
That's why they're holding this country hostage right now from law-abiding, tax-paying American citizens who want the government to be open. So Hakeem Jeffries should stop calling me names. He should stop trying to fight my boss, President Trump, and he should go back to doing what he was elected to do, the business of the American people in Congress, and encourage Senate Democrats to open the government. And I see Hakeem Jeffries saying House Republicans are out. They're not even here. Yeah, because they did their jobs and they passed a clean continuing resolution at the behest of President Trump to keep the government open. And now Senate Democrats and Chuck Schumer are blocking that to fight Donald Trump. And it's despicable.
Leavitt kept pressing on the border issue, insisting that financial responsibility should never come at the cost of national security. But the conversation didn't stop there. It soon expanded to another major point of dispute, the staggering price tag of the Democrats' spending plans. Before long, that eye-catching $1.5 trillion figure was front and center.
I want to set the record straight here because he lied in what he's saying, and Democrats have been lying about this as well. And I watched you one day at the podium and you laid out the facts. They are demanding $1.5 trillion in new spending to keep the government open for 7 weeks. Wow, that's a lot of money. Included in that money, $200 billion, health care for illegals, the continuation of COVID subsidies for people well above the poverty level. That was meant to be temporary in the first place. They want to fund NPR, PBS, all these DEI.
A bit of context helps here. If the clean continuing resolution were passed, the government would actually gain 7 additional weeks of funding. Hannity highlighted the projected $1.5 trillion that Democrats want to add to the national debt over the next decade, a staggering figure driven by 2 main factors. First, they plan to repeal the Medicaid provisions tied to Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill. Second, the Biden administration aims to extend the expanded Obamacare subsidies for a limited time. On this point, Karoline is absolutely correct. The House has already passed the spending package, but it's now stalled in the Senate due to the filibuster. Democrats are using that delay as leverage, attaching unrelated demands to push their broader agenda. Still, Leavitt stood firm and refused to go along with the maneuver.
Our continuing resolution that they proposed to keep the government open included a poison pill that would have undone what President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill did, which is to restrict illegal aliens from receiving Medicaid benefits. President Trump fixed that in the One Big Beautiful Bill, and Democrats want to take it away because they want these taxpayer-funded benefits to continue to go to illegal aliens in our country. This has been done for the past 4 years under the Biden administration, and the American people roundly rejected it. And you hear AOC, who is apparently the new leader of the Democrat Party in that CNN town hall, say to a concerned American when that American asked, "Do you want my taxpayer-funded benefits going to illegals?" She said, "That's a Republican talking point. Those aren't the real issues Americans are facing." That is a lie.
In Washington, finger pointing has practically become a national sport, something we mentioned at the very start of this discussion. The shutdown chaos has turned the Capitol into a whirlwind of accusations and political posturing, where each side insists the other is to blame. Karoline Leavitt, however, continues to stand out by focusing on substance rather than shouting matches. From the start, she's argued that the border crisis and economic responsibility can't be treated as separate issues. She believes that protecting the nation's security should never come at the expense of financial stability, and she's made that point again and again, even as the conversation drifts toward the Democrats' $1.5 trillion spending push. Hannity pointed out that this figure represents a massive addition to the national debt, a cost driven by efforts to undo parts of Trump's healthcare reforms and extend expanded Obamacare subsidies. Leavitt's response was firm. The House had already done its part, and it was the Senate's filibuster games that were stalling progress. Democrats, she said, were tying unrelated demands to the funding plan, turning what should have been straightforward negotiations into a political chess match. Now, as both sides refuse to move, the consequences are becoming painfully real. The government remains shut down, the clock is ticking, and millions of Americans may soon feel the effects firsthand. Many analysts are calling the expected halt to SNAP benefits in November a man-made disaster, one that didn't have to happen. It's a stark reminder that while leaders trade insults, ordinary families bear the cost. So, what's your take on all this? Share your thoughts in the comments, hit subscribe, and keep thinking critically, because the real conversation is just getting started.